This is KEYE TV Sports Sunday with Bob Ballou and Adam Winkler.
I mean, everything's scary on Halloween.
And we know what they're capable of if we don't come out swinging.
Touchdown!
They're competitors. They go out there and play.
The shutout is complete.
This is just a step backwards.
Kyler is comfortable in that. The coaching point was be quick but not in a hurry.
Zone is caught. Hopkins to the touchdown. Breeze fires. Touchdown.
In for the touchdown.
Just continue to build on what we've built on the last 2 weeks, and it just didn't happen.
Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was first published in 1886. 7 years later, Texas started playing football, and 122 years later, the Longhorns are paying tribute to Robert Louis Stevenson's book. Welcome inside Sports Sunday. I'm Bob Ballou.
And I'm Adam Winkler. The storyline of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde came to Stevenson in a dream. UT's latest show of its split personality, this time in Ames, was a nightmare. One in which the Horns were whipped in a spot Stevenson's wife knows all about.
Wow.
Her name is Fanny.
Wow, that's why I don't read it. I tell you that every week. The Longhorns set the tone with the big first series defensively against Oklahoma and Kansas State and forced a 3-and-out against Iowa State last night. It didn't have the same effect, though. From there, in the first half, UT ran 2 offensive plays in Iowa State territory. One was a sack, and the other was an interception.
The Horns don't get back across midfield until the final drive of the game. For the night, Iowa State runs nearly twice as many plays as Texas, mainly because the Horns went 2 of 13 on third down. The Horns shut out by an unranked team for the first time since JFK was in office.
Okay, so Paul Rhodes, he of I Am So Proud fame, once delivered a passionate post-game speech following ISU's 28-21 win over Texas back here in 2010. Last night, Rhodes wasn't as fiery, but he was just as passionate.
He's coaching for his job.
Yeah.
Before he took over at Iowa State, no coach in program history had ever beaten Texas. Rhodes has now done it twice, even though he says that's not how it's supposed to work.
We shouldn't beat Texas probably. Every kid that they recruit, if I go recruit them, I'm not going to get them. I'm not going to get them, okay? But we did, and we have twice.
Those are some really good words from Paul Rhodes, and very true.
Yep.
All right, Texas trifecta time. All of the numbers are disgustingly staggering on offense. After running for 313 and 274 yards in back-to-back wins, Texas only got to 119 last night in the loss to Iowa State. It's possible a fully healthy Deontay Foreman helps the cause, but the lack of the run game was not helped by a lack of a passing game either. The Horns threw for just 85 yards.
Hey, remember when the defense was this team's problem? Vance Bedford's unit was the least terrible of a brutal night for Texas. The defense, which was on the field a lot and for a long time, tied its season high with 6 sacks. Iowa State ran 92 plays, very few of them explosive, but still managed to rack up 426 yards of offense.
All right, when Charlie Strong took over at Texas, he spoke of putting the T back in Texas. He has made progress on that front. He has not made progress on putting the T back in travel. 112-10 in 3 true road games this year. Opponents 112, Texas 10. Notre Dame, TCU, and Iowa State suffocated Texas offensively, and Wink, they don't have a choice but to change that.
Now 3-5 with 4 games left in order to get the 6 wins and bowl eligibility. UT will have to win at least 1 true road game. In all, Texas has to win 3 of these final 4 contests. Texas already installed as a 31.5-point favorite Saturday at home against Texas. Yes, 31.5 points. They'll be underdogs at West Virginia. Should they lose that game, that means the Horns have to beat Texas Tech, then go on the road to Waco and beat the Bears. If Texas can find a way to win these 3 games, that means UT can go to undefeated Baylor, still lose, and play in a bowl game. No postseason concerns in College Station. Yesterday, A&M got to 6 wins with a 35-28 home victory over South Carolina. True freshman QB Kyler Murray is the first SEC player since Cam Newton to rush for 100 or more yards and a touchdown and throw for 200 or more yards and a touchdown in his first start. A&M's 2-game losing streak is history, as is the Kyle Allen era.
Kyler is comfortable in that setting. And, you know, the coaching point was be quick but not in a hurry. And I thought he was able to communicate with our players. I thought he did a great job of communicating with us.
Aggies are 8.5-point favorites at home against Auburn Saturday.
You mentioned Texas opens as a 31.5-point favorite against Kansas. That number already down to 29.5. Wink. Texas' final record this year is
6-6.
I'm with you.
They find a way.
We never agree. What do we?
I know. We obviously don't script it.
All right, go ahead.
They find a way to win on the road, and I think it's going to be West Virginia. I'm with you. I wouldn't be shocked if somehow, with backs against the wall, playing for pride like they played for Charlie Strong, they go to Waco and win a game if they get in that last week of the season with 5 wins. Because as you've said, they've played Baylor better than anybody else in this conference.
Charlie has used the word embarrassing to describe losses over and over and over. And last night, that's what it was. That's what this team is right now. That's the reality of who they are. They're Oklahoma 24-17. They're TCU 50-7. They're 24-0 Iowa State. They lose to Cal at home 45-44. They're Jekyll and Hyde. That's what we talked about at the start of this show. I think everything's going to be fine. Charlie Strong's going to work his way through this. He has a team that's learning how to win, and they don't know how to do it on the road right now. No. They haven't been great at it at home, but before this year started, I said this was an 8-4 football team that loses 4 games, and those 4 games are Notre Dame, TCU, West Virginia, and Iowa State. Okay. They're going to be a 6-6 team that loses, and the one loss they have the rest of the way is West Virginia.
So you still haven't gone to Waco?
I can't back off that now. Texas is going to be 5-6 going to Waco. They're going to get that 6th win in Waco. Man, can you even imagine?
No.
We'll see what happens.
I can't.
Dez Bryant's return didn't come with the type of anticipation that you'd expect after a 5-game absence. Probably because all expectations in Dallas are tempered without Tony Romo at the helm. Had to figure, though, that Dez, even though he's not 100%, could jolt this Dallas offense. There is nothing other than Tony Romo that will jolt this Dallas offense right now. Bryant's back, 3-3 game in the second quarter. Russell Wilson finds Luke Wilson and a Wilson football involved, and none of the 3 are related. Luke spells his last name with 2 L's, and the football's a ball. Wilson. 10-6 Seattle at the half. Cowboys trail 13-12 late in the fourth. Matt Castle throws one up on 4th and 21. I bet you know what's happening there. 4 field goals today for Dallas is just 1 point short. Cowboys now 2-5 after the 13-12 loss. Jeff Jones in Arlington with more on Dez's dramatic return to Dallas.
Well, guys, it doesn't matter if you call it 6 weeks, 42 days, or roughly 1,008 hours. That's right, I did the math. It's been a long time since Cowboys fans have seen number 88 in action. And after a 2-catch for 12 yards and 0 touchdown performance, I think I speak for all of us when I say we expected to see more from Dez Bryant.
Play of the week. Brought to you by Jack in the Box.
Congrats to the Dripping Springs volleyball team with a 5-set victory over Lucas Lovejoy yesterday in Garland. The Tigers are Class 5A state champions. They not only finished with a season record of 51-3, they're our Jack in the Box play of the week.
That's awesome. No more, I am so proud in the Iowa State locker room after a win. Understandably, the Cyclones are going in a different direction, firing Paul Rhodes today. His last 3 seasons, 3-9, 2-10, 3-8.
They are giving him one last shot at I am so proud.
Okay.
He's going to coach Iowa State in its season finale Saturday at West Virginia. We thought about putting that dopey decision in our Big 12 boom and bust, but the Clones gave us other material.
Get to that in a minute. Before that, I'm booming the Baylor Bears. Art Browse turns to his 3rd-string quarterback after Jarrett Stidham gets hurt, and Chris Johnson just keeps the train trucking. Johnson had nearly 200 total yards and 3 touchdowns as the Bears win at undefeated Oklahoma State 45-35. Baylor keeps itself in position for a shot at the Big 12 title.
My Big 12 boom is Boomer Sooner. Oklahoma held off TCU 30-29 last night for its 4th victory this season against the top 25 team. No other Big 12 squad has more than 1 top 25 win, even without Baker Mayfield in the second half, who was out with a hip injury. Oklahoma rolls up more than 500 yards of offense for the 5th straight game. OU can win the Big 12 with a victory over Oklahoma State Saturday.
I'm going to bust Kansas because every time you think they've taken a step back forward, they take 300 back. They lost at home to Texas Tech 30-20 and then followed that with a 58-10 loss to Oklahoma State. After a 23-17 loss to TCU last week, they lose at home 49-0 to West Virginia. The Mountaineers had 3 100-yard rushers. Long, long way to go for David Beatty.
Paul Rhodes might still have a job if Iowa State knew how to hang on to the football. Yesterday, ISU led Kansas State 35-14 in the third quarter, but the Cyclones fumble over to the Cats 3 times in the final 7 minutes and lose 38-35. The fact Iowa State didn't take a knee and send it to overtime might be one reason Rhodes was canned today, but still, for that debacle, the Cyclones are my Big 12 bust.
Hey, Kevin Sumlin's found himself a quarterback. It's Kyle Allen, who threw for 336 yards, a touchdown, and no picks. And the touchdown was the second longest in school history. He hit Josh Reynolds for a 95-yard score that changed the game. Taylor Bertolette hit 6 field goals as the Aggies down Vanderbilt 25-0.
You know, I thought our guys took the field with energy every time and with a purpose, and played with confidence.
I'm very excited for the team, for us as a team. Performance we put on, you know, obviously we would like to score a lot more touchdowns.
Earlier this week, a dopey rumor on Twitter from an account that's now been deleted forced Texas State officials to issue a denial that head football coach Dennis Franchione will resign after the season. Thursday, in his first public comment since that report, we asked Coach Fran if he's had any conversations about his future with the Bobcats.
Not by me. If there have been, I don't know about them. Nobody shared anything with me, and not as far as I know. I just keep coaching my kids right now.
Thursday, Coach Fran's squad snapped a 3-game losing streak by beating Louisiana Monroe 16-3 in Texas State's home finale. The Cats are now 3-7 on the season. They got back in the win column by playing some stifling defense, and while wearing some sweet uniforms, the all-black getup was a surprise to the players.
I did not know until they walked in the locker room.
I just heard everybody screaming. I knew something was up, and then I looked in, I saw it, and it was crazy.
I seen the black jersey, I just dropped. It was like, oh my goodness, is that black? Then somebody came out with a black helmet, I was like, oh, I'm not gonna make it today.
Good stuff in San Marcos. Stay with us, we're back after this.
This is KEYE TV Sports Sunday with Bob Ballou and Adam Winkler.
We're here to build a program, and that's why I came here. We got to get things done here, and we just got to get better.
Chris is certainly capable, and so is Kurt. So I don't know if there's a different message.
I coach better, we got to play better, and we think Tony can help us do that.
Felt good to kind of get back and play football.
After the new quarterback, and they've got Hopkins.
We all tackled them and roughed them up a little bit.
No, I appreciate those guys, acknowledging that.
We're not where we want to be, knowing that their future is very bright.
Tony Romo's first pass in his return to the Cowboys was, of course, left-handed. Big day for Dallas and Romo in their win over Miami. A report from the Magic City coming up in minutes. Miami's nickname is the Magic City. Don't know that David Copperfield or Harry Houdini could work enough magic to get Charlie Strong to leave Austin for Miami. All is calm on the Strong front for now. Welcome inside Sports Sunday. I'm Bob Ballou.
And I'm Adam Winkler. Modern sunscreen was invented in 1944 by Miami pharmacist Benjamin Green.
Where do you come up with this stuff?
If Strong chooses to stay at Texas and pass on the Sunshine State, he still might need some sunscreen to endure the hot seat on which he could be sitting next season.
Strong seemingly changed his fortunes with that 24-17 win over Oklahoma, but this program still obviously with a ways to go to become elite again. This week, Strong emphasized his desire to stay at Texas to finish the job that he started, and he started 10-13 at UT. Strong's frustrations aren't just with the inability to get this program turned around, it's also with the rumors that he would leave it.
It does, because I have an unbelievable job here, and and I don't. A lot of times, I don't know where it surfaces from, but the thing I got to do is just continue to work here and get this done, and it's important. I have to be successful here. It's no doubt, and there's just too many people counting on me, and not so much me, but just counting on us, to get it done.
So for now, both athletics director Mike Perrin and president Greg Fenves back Coach Strong. Wink. Not every high-profile figure in the state of Texas, though, is staying on board with this UT coach.
Republican presidential hopeful Ted Cruz was campaigning in Iowa Friday. Now, after being razzed about the Longhorns' shutout loss to Iowa State last month, Cruz said, and I quote, "I think they canceled their football program and brought in a girls' junior high team." End quote. Texas is still part of the Electoral College, right?
I think
so. He'll need our votes eventually.
Here. Yeah, I think at some point that'd be a good idea.
Just checking.
Doctors performed successful surgery on UT running back Deontay Foreman's finger this week. Foreman is questionable for the Texas Tech game, as is Jonathan Gray with a toe injury. Foreman's broken out over the last 6 weeks, running for 100 yards plus 4 different times. If neither Gray nor Foreman can play Thursday night, it's up to 2 freshmen.
It's good. You know, they're young guys. They've been working hard. They got a lot of enthusiasm, and they're excited, and they bring a little bit of energy to the practice field. So, you know, we're giving them a lot of reps and getting them a chance to go.
So Texas could be in a must-win situation without its top 2 running backs should Foreman and Jay Gray miss the Tech game Thursday. Thrusting the youngins into action would happen. And with such inexperience in that backfield, what is Jay Norvell's message to Gerard Hurd and Tyrone Swoops?
I don't know that the message is any different. We're going to expect those guys to run the ball, whether Deontay's playing or not. And Chris is certainly capable, and so is Kurt. So I don't know that there's a different message because those kids are playing.
Texas has its hands full with the Texas Tech's high-powered offense, but the Longhorns are still a defense that continues to steadily improve. After giving up 38, 45, and 50 to Notre Dame, Cal, and TCU, the Horns haven't given up more than 31 in a game, and those 31 came with the offense committing 5 turnovers at West Virginia. Vance Bedford just playing the hand that he's dealt.
I was not expecting to be in our second year and playing at sometimes 5'2" freshmen on the football field. But you know what? It is what it is. They need to go out there and perform and play well. Why? Because it's the University of Texas. Go out there and perform. When you put that helmet on that says Longhorn on it, you're representing that, and that's what you need to go out and be able to win ball games here.
All right, Wings, let's take this back to Charlie Strong for a minute. Should he consider leaving?
He should. And not because Miami is a better job than Texas, because it's not, and anyone who thinks so is ridiculous. I would be worried about his future here. Outside of that Oklahoma game, since then, we haven't seen a ton of reason for optimism with him and his program. I think he needs to bring in a hotshot offensive coordinator. Is an offensive coordinator going to want to come to Texas knowing that Charlie has to show a lot of improvement next year, or there's a really good chance he is fired? So I think he was just looking out for himself, putting the feelers out there, and I don't blame him one bit.
I think any reasonable human being that has a job is always looking and keeping a list of possible other jobs, because what if they lose these last 2 games and they're blown out in bad fashion, and Greg Fenves and Mike Perrin decide maybe this isn't the direction we want to go now, the boosters turn on him, and now he's left without, kind of scrambling, looking for something. I just think you're always, every athletic director has a list of head coaches in a drawer somewhere just in case something happens. Every coach needs to be doing that same thing. I don't blame Charlie Strong for doing anything he's doing. I think he's committed to Texas. I think he wants to be the head coach at Texas, and I think he wants to fix this.
Yeah. He needs to.
But he needs, I mean, they're obviously going to have to get much better next year in this offseason as they move forward, so we'll see how that goes. Tony Romo threw some really, really terrible passes today. The 2 interceptions he threw were both pretty awful looking, and some of his other throws weren't as sharp. You know what? His presence did so much more for this team that those picks didn't nearly hurt quite as much. Pouring rain in Miami for the first part of the game, sunny the rest of the way because that's how Miami works. This is how Tony Romo works. He gets Ryan Tannehill to throw it directly to Rolando McClain. The Tony Romo effect is incredible.
How about it?
7-0 Cowboys. This is also how Tony Romo works in reality. Throw it up for Terrence Williams. Let the former Baylor Bear go get it. 14-0 Cowboys. That was 14-7 at the half. 14-14, first play of the fourth quarter. Tony Romo, Des Bryant, 16 yards and an X. Romo 227, 2-2. Darren McFadden, 29 carries, 129 yards. Cowboys win 24-14. Jeff Jones in Miami as things start to turn back in the right direction for Dallas.
After 7 straight losses, 3 games without an offensive score, and 2 quarterbacks who look like they should be here with me on the bench. Today was the day that it was supposed to happen. Today was the day that 3 words were going to change the Cowboys season. That's because today was the return of Antonio Romero Romo.
I say the savior of our team, you know. So he came in and did a great job, gave us a lot of energy. He might not be Jesus, but he came in and made a difference.
I said our theme is Romo makes a difference. Wasn't that brilliant?
Felt good to kind of get back and play football and help your team win. And you know, that's one of those games you got to just stand up and fight and outlast them a little bit. And our guys did that today.
Him being back just give everybody that much more juice. And, it was nothing against Brandon, it was nothing against Matt, but we all know who our leader is.
I think the stage was set when that wind was blowing in his face, that rain coming down, and he got that ball for his first snap, rolled that thing out of there, and pushed that ball out there with his left hand right in the middle of that monsoon going on. That just gave me a shiver.
That's just what he does, man. I mean, he's the king of improvising, and I think he made some big plays. So it's just great to have him back out there.
Well, healthy quarterback or not, the Cowboys will have to keep winning if they want to keep their playoff dreams alive. Their next chance to pick up the W will come at home on Thanksgiving Day against the Panthers. Reporting from Sun Life Stadium, Jeff Jones, KEYE TV Sports.
All right, Jeff, Jameis Winston threw for 264 yards against the Cowboys, but only 246 against Philly. Of course, he threw 5 touchdowns against the Eagles, too. Big help for the Cowboys today. Tampa pounds Philly 45-17. Carolina pummels Washington 44-16. Cam Newton also threw for 5 touchdowns. All of that means this: no more bye weeks in the NFC East. Giants hold a 2-game lead over the Cowboys, 1 over the Eagles and Redskins. Boys Skins twice more this year. And as Jeff mentioned, Dallas hosts Carolina Thanksgiving.
Earlier this season, TJ Yates was sitting on his couch drinking a cup of coffee when the Texans called him and offered him a job. And he's meant a latte to Houston's rebound from a 1-4 start. Yates filling in for an injured Brian Hoyer today against the Jets. We pick it up in the third, game tied at 10. Texans get tricky. TJ to Cecil Shorts, then to Alfred Blue. That is a 22-yard touchdown. Houston up 17-10. Later in the third, Yates, who led the Texans to a win Monday night in Cincy, hooks up with DeAndre Hopkins for a 20-yard score. Hop's second TD catch of the day, his 9th of the season. That matches the most Andre Johnson ever had in a single season. Texans win 24-17, their 3rd straight victory.
I thought just for us to be able to move the ball effectively against this Jets defense, we were going to have to give them something that we hadn't shown, and I thought we did a good job of that. And then obviously our defense playing well really helps things.
Everybody doing their job, everybody understanding their roles and playing those roles very well. I think on defense we're tackling well, we're taking the ball away, we're stopping the run.
Texans are 5-5. A Colts loss today at Atlanta gives Houston sole possession of first place in the AFC South. In the 4th, with a 7-point lead, Matt Ryan just throws a terrible pick 6 that ties the game at 21. Then with a minute left, Adam Vinatieri does what he does. He wins it for Indy with that 43-yard field goal. So the Colts keep pace with Houston atop the AFC South division. Both teams 5-5, but the Texans have a much tougher remaining schedule, including a trip to Indy December 20th, where they've never won.
Quandre Diggs led the Lions in tackles today. He had 6 as they beat the Raiders. DJ had a big day on his birthday. Derek Johnson leads the Chiefs in tackles with 9 and a 33-3 win at San Diego. And Brian Arakpo with a sack Thursday night in that loss to the Jags.
Our guys are playing with a completely new operating system. You know, that operating system is just different.
UT's software update got Shaka Smart his first win, but that wasn't the only thing he received last night. We've got that coming up.
Paul Rhodes, 7 years at Iowa State, full of upsets, just not enough consistency. The Cyclones double bust in our Big 12 boom and bust coming up. First, though, tonight's Sports Sunday stumper. In the last 17 years, which FBS school has the most wins against the AP Top 25? That answer later in the show.
This is Steve Stifler lookalike Andy Roddick, and you're watching Sports Sunday.
Cedar Park, the top-ranked team in Class 5A, will put its 14-0 record on the line Saturday against Ridge Point in the state semifinals. The Timberwolves haven't lost this season, but they've gained plenty from someone not even on their roster. The Cedar Park High School football team is often on top. Whether it's on the scoreboard or in the state rankings, many find themselves looking up at the Timberwolves. Lance White looks up to the Timberwolves.
I want to be like them.
It wasn't tunnel vision, it was T-Wolf vision. The goal of one day suiting up for the Cedar Park varsity is what motivated Lance to practice so hard in middle school. But last year, during the first week of his 8th grade season, something just wasn't right.
We were trying to get to the bottom of what was going on. Was it the heat? Was he just tired?
It was not a football injury, but Lance, a linebacker, was about to tackle his toughest test.
My mom told me that I had leukemia. I was like, no.
The diagnosis was T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia, and the treatment took Lance out of school and away from football, but not entirely. The very first Get Well poster he received in the hospital was from his 8th grade coaches and teammates. This is the video Lance sent them in response.
When I first found out I had cancer, I just wanted to die. I just wanted to curl up on the floor and lay there. But as soon as that first poster came in right here, it reminded me I have a family, a whole big family back at Austin for me.
And that family has grown, along with Lance's collection of get well cards. He's now in 9th grade, and although in remission from leukemia, White has to undergo chemotherapy for another 2 years. If the spinal tap isn't enough to cause him to miss school, the nausea usually is. But he's not on this journey alone.
It's a joy to see him out there and doing the best he can to be a part of what we're doing.
You know that varsity football team of which he so wanted to be a part? Now he is. The undefeated and top-ranked T-Wolves, led by head coach Carl Absek, have taken Lance under their wing. The same group that once served as his inspiration is now using him as theirs.
What we're doing here is not just about athletics. It's not just about football. It's about people.
Every single step I've taken, they've been with me. I don't know what I'm going to do to repay them.
During his treatment, Lance was contacted by the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He was told to dream big, really big, about the wish he'd be granted. But instead of meeting a celebrity or taking some exotic trip, Lance wants to start his own foundation. A foundation that'll help kids battling cancer.
He's been an example to follow. He's made some decisions and choices that have just amazed me.
The younger kids, the toddlers, the babies, I mean, it was just cries and screams. I want to help them to feel like it's going to be okay. Someone's here for you.
God knows who the strongest one in our family is, because it's Lance. I've been so incredibly proud of him.
One day, the scoreboard and the state rankings might not be as kind to the Timberwolves, but even then, there will still be plenty worth looking up to in Cedar Park.
Wink, I think you agree. Lance White wins the boom forever.
Ditto.
Ever and ever. Our regular season Big 12 boom and bust picks. My boom is Lake Travis product Baker Mayfield. Just flat out didn't care that Trevor Knight beat Alabama and was the Sugar Bowl MVP 2 years ago. He beat him out. He stole his job, and he's running all the way to New York for the Heisman Trophy ceremony with it. And possibly a national title. Baker Mayfield. Boom!
Indirect bust of Texas Tech for Baker Mayfield, but my boom is Texas Tech, and not just because Cliff Kingsbury beat Arkansas this season and taunted Brett Bielema afterwards. The Red Raiders were picked to finish 8th in the Big 12, and following its 0-2 start in conference play, Tech had lost 14 of its last 16 Big 12 games dating back to 2013. Red Raiders, though, proceed to win 4 of their next 7 to finish 7-5 and get back to a bowl game.
All right, I'm going to bust Kansas, but with an asterisk. I believe David Beatty will do good things in Larrytown despite the lone winless season in Big 12 history. The Beakers had 64 scholarship players this year. That's 21 less than what you can have. 64! And somehow Beatty managed to nearly upset both Tech and TCU this year. Still, winless is a bust, but it is going to get better under Beatty.
My Big 12 bust is Sean Oakman. The Baylor big man was voted preseason defensive player of the year because he had 11 sacks and 19.5 tackles for a loss last year. This season, Oakman finishes with just 4.5 sacks, failing to record more than 1 in any game. He also had just 9 tackles for loss in all of Big 12 play for a defense that allowed 29 points per game in conference action.
All right, high school state semifinals next weekend. Westlake takes on Allen, 1 o'clock in Waco. Lake Travis gets Mansfield at 2 in Waco. Vista Ridge, George Ranch Friday at 7:30 in Houston. And Cedar Park, Ridgepoint, Saturday in Houston. Back after this. That's it for Sports Sunday. For Ant Wink and everyone involved in this one, I'm Bob Ballou. Go out and make it a great, great Thanksgiving week, everyone. That's going to wrap it up for this edition of Sports Sunday. For Ant Wink and everyone involved in this one, I am Bob Ballou. Go out and make it a great week, everyone. That's it for Sports Sunday. For Ant Wink and everyone involved in this one, I'm Bob Ballou. Go out and make it a great week, everyone. Congrats to Wink for beating me in our fantasy football play.